Good evening, and welcome to the Petersburg By Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Vampire the Masquerade chronicle, Bloody Strings.
Welcome to another St. By Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Bloody Strings, one of the many chronicles here at St. By Night. I am Devlin Kane, your humble storyteller this evening, and these two are my lovely players this evening. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Kendall. Kendall will be elemental on TikTok, and I'll be playing Maggie Haywood of the Lekar.
Hey, I'm Mew, and I'll be playing Sophie Clews, the malted milkshake Malkavian.
Last we left off with these two. They had decided they were going to participate in a upcoming trial, the trial of Duncan, close friend and associate of Sophie. We find ourselves arriving at the Elysium. It is a little tense, and there are many people present as far as you can tell as you arrive at the venue. People kind of pulling in, being pulled into the space that security takes everybody before clearing them to go enter the Elysium. As you guys pull up, you're quickly brought in. You have a moment before stepping in if you would like. Well, go ahead and give me what's in awareness as you do step out of your vehicle.
Three for me.
4.
Okay. Two of you immediately recognize a couple people. You see the Primogen, a few of the Primogen of the city. You recognize immediately Gabriel. You see the Oracle, Charlie, a couple other members of court stepping into the space. You see Kahil Maktir stepping inside as Nick, the member of security that you guys met the other day, comes to approach. Hey, before things really kick off, I've been instructed to take you guys downstairs to kind of wait things out for a moment. Might be people who have a few questions for you beforehand, but shouldn't take long. We'll be diving right in.
Right. Well, that shouldn't be an issue. Does Maggie also need to go, or?
It's not a matter
He
of...
did say both of us, didn't he?
I did. It's a space for you to wait. Most everybody is going downstairs except for a few people who are making preparations. Is there some business upstairs that you need tending to?
Oh, no, I just know Maggie had mentioned the wards for the trial, and I assumed that as such a prominent person in the security of this building, that you might be interested in having Maggie's expertise in making sure that those wards that were asked for were set up properly.
Did you consult the Tremere recently before the trial, or is Elysium still unwarded?
I apologize. That is again not. I gave your concerns, but that's not something I'm afraid I have any sway or real knowledge over. If you would like, though, I can.
That's so surprising.
Ask, but go ahead.
Oh, it's just surprising. You've been such a upstanding member of security. I assumed you had much sway over what happens in the building.
I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I am a new hire. Give me a charisma persuasion.
That's one success.
You flattered me, but I am a new hire. But if you would like, after I take you downstairs, I can probably raise your concerns to somebody who might be more equipped to answer that for you and send them your way.
Oh, I think that would be wonderful.
Sure thing. If you'll follow me. And he takes you into the space, going through not the way through Edwin's office. He takes you another path that goes downstairs before entering that kind of large hospital-like space with the metal walls and the harsh lighting, and brings you into a room where you do see there are a few other people. It looks like mostly just different people here to kind of witness the event. Death of a keeper. Very noisy affair. Immediately, you notice Cahill seems to be kind of overseeing some things, handling security, as it were. You see Primogen Gabriel talking to a few people up to the corner you haven't met before. You also notice Ezekiel on the far side of the room, seated, hands on his knees, just kind of observing people, has not noticed you.
Sophie will turn to Maggie. I do quite hope that Ezekiel keeps up his end of our little deal and doesn't make a huge fuss at this trial, but if he does, just give me a little pinch or a hit like you did with Mr. Halden if I begin to act untoward, especially during the trial. This is a very important moment, and I don't want to be acting uncivilized.
Maggie will reach over and put a hand on Sophie's shoulder and give her a squeeze.
That could work too, but I mostly implied maybe pain to get a stimulus that could overcome the anger.
Sophie. I understand that if you get angry, you may feel the need to lash out. But I believe you are also cognizant enough that his life is on the line with this. I think you are cognizant enough to be able to control yourself.
Well, I should hope so, but sometimes that sense of rage does tend to come over me, and I've acted strongly in situations where life is in danger that I might not otherwise have considered.
I am aware. I remember the actions you took with our new associate.
Well, also with the previous coterie member, when I took a knife to that hunter, it was in the moment, and I just, I felt I had to. So when life is on the line like that,
your life will be on the line if you react rashly here. I will try and keep you in check as best as I can. But I need you to be able to be responsible for yourself.
I will attempt my best. That's why I said sometimes a pain stimulus can cover over other emotions or feelings, like when I received my smallpox vaccine, I took my fingers and I pinched my leg so that it wouldn't hurt as much. So changing the direction of the emotions, even though it's still, a pain, and it might even be more painful if you're pinching yourself, getting a shot. If you're in control of it, it's much less painful, I suppose.
Alright. I'll pinch you.
Well, I also know that you are much more educated on the particular etiquette for this society.
Yes, well, I have to.
I suppose I should have taken to study with Duncan more before this happened, but there were so many things in the way.
There is much going on. Your lack of education is not your fault.
Well, when Charlie digs through my memories and provides it, again, I'm not sure how I'll exactly react in this situation, so if there's anything up your sleeve to mitigate if something happens, try to make sure I don't hurt anyone if something's triggered or...
How about this? We speak with Charlie beforehand. We tell her what you would like to do. And we can take measures to make sure neither of you get over it.
That does sound appropriate.
Maggie will look over and kind of point with her stare toward Primage and Gabriel, then over at Cahill. There are measures that can be taken as long as warning it.
Yes, I fear Gabriel doesn't quite like me that much. He didn't seem very impressed with our test. I feel that he may not have our best interests at heart when faced with that situation, but yes, perhaps having security know certain things might help if something is to go poorly.
Of course. Perhaps we should go speak with Cahill beforehand so that they are aware of what we look as our part of this trial.
Yes. He has been very helpful in the past.
He's part of security here. He's a deputy. He's been very close with Edwin. If nothing else, I'm pretty sure he will appreciate any forewarning that can be given.
Although it is a bit strange that he hasn't really approached us with, I don't know, the investigation of what happened to Edwin. They were very close, and you would think that he would have known Duncan and known such an odd confession it would be to make.
Co-workers do not make friends.
Oh, I suppose that's good to know.
I speak on this more on a level of his position within the court. Like, we don't know anything about him personally, but he has nothing to lose from gaining more information. Maggie's gonna start approaching Kyle.
As you approach Cahill, getting a more visible space of the area, you see that he is standing with his back against a door, with two other members of security standing next to him. He's kind of overseeing things, and as you approach, he takes his back off the door, meets you about halfway, and then stops. Good evening. How are we doing?
A little nerve-wracked, but should be an interesting trial. There were some things we wanted to prepare for beforehand.
Sure.
Maggie will look over at Sophie.
Yes, well, I was just hoping to, I guess, give a warning of, I plan to give some, although it may be seen as anecdotal, some evidence from Charlie's abilities to look into my mind for the events of the night that Edwin perished. So, in that act, depending on how skillful Charlie is, which I'm sure it's quite a craft, and there's a lot of skill involved, and so it doesn't necessarily look bad upon a kindred if other memories are undug during the process, but because it can be so fragmented, especially in events of stress, there are some perhaps emotions or well, I don't really want to say frenzy, but if something were to go wrong during the process, then I did want to warn you that you have the all clear to potentially try to stake me to prevent me from hurting anyone, but try not to hurt me too much. It is just residual emotions, and I don't intend to hurt anyone, and that's why I'm being very upfront with this. I don't intend to make a large distraction or cause wreckage. It just might be an unfortunate side effect of providing evidence for the trial.
I understand. You said based on evidence. Have you had Charlie upstairs before?
Well, no, she's actually never been to my safe haven. Although I should have maybe invited her. That was probably rude of me, now that you point that out.
Fair enough. Sorry. I mean, in your head.
Oh, no. I haven't really had much digging in there so much. We did have a conversation, but not too much. Whatever it is they do when they look into your mind. I did have some tarot cards read by Bellatrix, but that's not quite the same.
I've had Charlie digging around up there once, and I've seen her do it a few times. It's a little odd, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Well, I wanted to warn you because I've only really seen the process done once before, and after it occurred, the kindred murdered a dear friend of a coterie mates, and then went into the sun. So it can be, I guess, deeply unsettling in the process. So I'm just warning you, if I were to become extremely hysterical, that I don't intend to do any harm.
Miss Clews, I do have to ask, are you implying that Charlie was in some way affiliated with the death of Nicholas Baldridge?
Oh, no. It was not Charlie that did that went and looked into things.
Well, whoever's doing the probing makes a bit of a difference. Who was the one who did it?
Oh, I don't remember his name, actually. It was someone that Nicholas had looked into. They had contacts in other areas. No one involved near our court at all. No one near St. Petersburg.
Would anyone like to make a what's an awareness, please? Go ahead. Or not awareness, insight.
Five successes on a crit.
1.
Sophie, you're pretty confident that you kicked that down the road. It's not much of an issue. Maggie, however, you do see Cahill is making a few notes mentally as this conversation is happening. Nods. Very well. Well, as I said, I've seen Charlie do this countless times. I'm sure you'll be fine. But in worst case scenario, should anything go awry, I will be there.
Thank you. That puts me a bit at ease.
How are you doing with all this?
Oh, well, it is very frustrating, not knowing what actually happened to Edwin. I know that Duncan has confessed, but it does not make sense to me. I haven't seen his abilities like that. I mean, in our family, we are good at being in the shadows, but most of the strength was from telling people what to do. Not even really kindred, but telling kind, making them submit to their will. So it doesn't sit well with me that I don't know what really happened.
I understand. Unfortunately, all we have to go on at the moment is a confession.
Yes, well, I'm sure it's quite devastating for you as well, not fully knowing all the details and having someone so close to you ripped away in one night.
When I first changed, it was my cider was a madman. Edwin took me in. So I owed him a lot. I've been working for him since. Something does feel a bit off, but I work for the Camarilla and I have to go by protocol. There's not much left to be digging about, and we have a confession. Unless we had something compelling. He kind of leans in. To me, it looks like he did it in order to get you all scot-free. The issue with that is that before, you had time to try to find something. You had time to try to clear your name in some capacity while an investigation happened. Whether you did it or not, something would have come through. This stomped on that. And I'll be level with you. Most of the court's ready to just kind of stamp this and move on. So hopefully something pretty compelling comes from this. But
I'm fairly certain that it would have been very difficult for him to do something like this.
agreed.
It's likely something that involving what I was assisting with while we were there.
There were a lot of people though, and how come no one else got hurt? I mean, obviously you and
A lot
You
of
had-
people got hurt.
right, but no one got hurt by spectral shadows that ripped them into bits.
A lot of people got hurt by spectral shadows. They were possessed.
Yes, but you were the one who makes that claim.
In fact, most of
And
them died, I believe.
most of them died because me and Gabriel shot them in the face. You don't get up from that very often. What I'm saying, from what the report that you gave me, no one else suffered that. And I understand what you're saying, these people were possessed, and perhaps they were. But we also had clear evidence that there were hunters present. And his confession coincides with that. He claims he let hunters in. And then there's the matter of the event that happened at his estate, shortly after. News got down here to talk about. We've received plenty of complaints from Carmen. And other people who went up there in the process. That was... He clearly has
Well-
ties with hunters.
At least with Carmen, we were able to safely exit building with her.
Sure. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm just saying his confession stacks with some of the information that we have found. We don't have any evidence of the spectral event that you're referring to, and there's hesitation to admit that we have a spirit event after everything that took place a couple years ago.
Would it help at all if she looked into my mind?
Perhaps. And you're welcome to volunteer that service if you wish. But if it's not compelling enough to convince the court that it couldn't have been hunter intervention based off of the confession and the clear presence of hunters at the asylum or Elysium, I don't know how he's getting out of it. But perhaps y'all got something locked up there that might help. At the very least, you might be able to clear the idea that there was an actual poisoning from the hunters at Elysium. But beyond that, I'm uncertain. May require a great deal of persuasion on your part. And he kind of sits there for a moment. He hasn't taken any guest since turning himself in. Ezekiel's come by a couple times, but he refused him.
Well, that's no surprise, really, based on our sire.
He's been acting a bit strange, but I've been around my share of Malkavians. I'm not certain as to whether or not that's just his thing or not. But he's been mumbling a bit. Do you know him to do that?
Well, I think everyone talks to themselves a little bit at a time. But like they say, only a guilty man sleeps soundly before their trial.
What is he mumbling about?
We're not certain. It's mostly whispers. As soon as anyone enters the room to try to engage with him, if we catch it or anything on that line, he just straightens up, becomes his normal charismatic self. But he seems a bit... I don't know, I remember when I first met him, me and Edwin, he was very light, very sweet. Here of late, his eyes are... focused. Not a bad thing, necessarily, just different. You see him kind of reach up to his ear and... I have a couple preparations to make upstairs. We'll be starting probably pretty soon.
Of course. Thank you.
Just one last thing. Did anyone take into account Maggie's advice to ward the trial area to help prevent outer interference?
Well, the disruption from the storm should have only really affected anything outside. Certain specific places within the building should be pretty secure. We also, with Edwin dead, we no longer have a Tremere within the city that we can collaborate with very effectively. And tensions are still pretty high with the Tremere and Clearwater. But maybe that changes with Edwin's death. We'll see. These two will stay posted at the door. They're currently watching over Duncan. If you do wish to try to speak with them before the trial, I will allow a brief visit, but we will be starting soon.
I would appreciate that.
Of course. I'll see you soon. And he breaks away and moves upstairs.
Maggie will look over at Sophie. Is he a very serious person?
Well, I don't know him that well, but I suppose that, Kyle's always been a bit serious.
Duncan.
Oh, not really. He is a bit serious when he is, I suppose, focused on something. Most of the time he was actually quite a delight, down in where we were. He always made light of things. He was kind of a light in the dark. He always made sure to try to make me feel as safe and welcomed as possible. He was always very serious about his compassion for the people in his life, though. He seemed to have something very serious with Kristoff. But yes, in general, pretty light-hearted.
Right. I will be going with you.
Yes, perhaps your pragmatic approach can maybe get some sense into him.
I would just like to see how he answers your questions.
Yes, another set of eyes. It's always good. Perhaps there's something that I miss that you could pick up on that maybe could save him.
There's a possibility. Sophie. I need you to understand something. I'm willing to help you with this, and I'm willing to testify. But I have very little credit or pull in this city. Being what
Well,
I will try. But I need you to be able to accept he may die tonight.
well, I know some of the others have expressed a general suspicion of Hecata, but personally, of the only Hecata that I've really met, I haven't really met Beaumont or your sire yet. Perhaps they will give more colors added to this perception, but I think the Hecata seem very competent and wonderful, and I don't know why anyone would consider you not to have a profound amount of credit and class.
You are very kind. But it's complicated. There's another squeeze to her shoulder. And she looks her in the eye. Sophie. I need you to brace yourself. Prepare for the worst. Do you understand me?
I will hold out hope until the very end.
Of course. Maggie will let go of her shoulder. Well, let's go bother him, shall we?
Yes.
Whoops. You head up to the security at the door. They kind of nod at you. They open the door and let you in. As you enter, it is a empty metal room with a bench on the wall. You see their arms, their knees propped up, their arms kind of wrapped around them and their head pressed down on their arms, just sitting quietly. When the door opens and closes, time to ring the bell then, huh? Sophie. He immediately straightens up. Sophie, darling, what are you doing here?
Well, I would have come sooner, but earlier before today they wouldn't really give me a chance to see you. I think they thought we might cook up another great plan of escape, like we did once.
I'm afraid I'm not as hungry as I was that time.
Yes, well, I read your letter.
I'm sure you're terribly upset.
I just don't understand why.
Oh, well, things tend to... He sits there for a moment, kind of stares off. And then you watch as he kind of straightens his posture a bit. His gaze kind of falls to be a bit more cold. Sometimes we have to learn when we've overstayed our welcome.
You never overstayed. You were always welcome at Books and Bourbon and in St. Petersburg. I mean, the work you were doing with Edwin, it really helped us, and you don't have to always bail me out.
Well, I suppose one more time couldn't hurt. You were always very soft-hearted.
If you didn't...
What is your name?
My name is Duncan.
But what is your name?
I'm afraid I don't understand your question.
You've had a very... You changed. In a second.
Well, I am waiting to be at the headsman's block. I suppose that would give anyone a bit of a sharpened perspective. You can give me what's an insight.
Sophie is blinded by her emotions.
Okay.
2.
You see that there is a Maggie, as you are watching what he's saying. This is probably what Cahill was talking about. It's like his eyes are very pointed. There's a very intense the moment you walked in, you saw something of a innocence quickly dissolve into something murderous, almost. Very cold, very detached. Where it was very warm and loving a moment ago. Sophie with a 1. No, you don't catch that too much, but there was something that jumped out at you. It's been a long time since someone called you soft-hearted, and it wasn't Duncan who said it.
Can I use something?
Sure. At your own
Can I
risk. You
use-
are on Elysium grounds.
Yes. She's still going off of the permission of the late keeper of using her disciplines. So she has it on a technicality.
Okay. Let's see.
Can she use that?
Give me a browse check, and then you give me a Wits and Oblivion.
Awesome.
Since... Yeah, go ahead and make the roll. For information, an ability called Double Vision being used, which is a feature for St. Pete regarding a previous possession issue that took place in St. Pete. Let's see.
Four successes.
Well, 4 successes. This is not a situation of a man possessed. But you do see a spiritual struggle as if one is happening.
Does it kind of remind her of their talks about the girl that she currently has in her morgue? The child.
It does.
Maggie will look to Sophie and back to him. Very strange way to apologize.
I'm
Her
afraid I
eyes
don't get your meaning.
flickered very briefly black and then went back to normal.
When they flicker, he kind of eyes you for a moment. I'm afraid I don't know what you're implying. But if we're going to be speaking in riddles, I would rather be alone.
Maggie will look to Sophie. Apologies, I didn't mean any offense.
Duncan, what happened to your siblings?
You read the journals.
Well, I read through most of them. Yes.
A couple died to illness. One died shortly after I left home. I didn't find out till I returned.
And whose fault was that?
Mine.
Sophie is going to deck him.
Strength and roll. Dear.
Maggie would like to intercept and grab her arm.
Strength and brawl.
That's just 2 successes.
You go to strike him, and immediately Maggie grabs your arm and pulls you back away from him.
She will pinch your hand. Deep breath.
You know it's not your fault. And I don't know why you would answer that way. I've known you a very long time.
At this moment, he smiles. But as he does, you see red starting to trickle from his eyes. I left home and left him alone with him. And one night, while I was not there, I lost him. Because I left home. You're going to strike me for admitting the truth? That I failed?
No, I'm trying to get you out. I know what's going on right now. It's not you. And I need... If it is going to be the last few minutes, I need Duncan.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaborations with our partnered vendors: Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Bear of the Bard, Champs Tramps, Panchi Artista, and Chromatic Creations US. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpetebynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You can find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow SPbN on all socials with the hashtag StPeteByNight. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/StPeteByNight to help keep the stories rolling.
I'm dealing with a lot, I'm afraid. I suppose you are too. And that was terribly rude of me. I'm sorry for provoking you. If this is to be the last, which I gave a very convincing argument. I do want you to know I care for you deeply. And I am sorry for the trouble I've put you in. But you will be fine. And if I had been half as strong as you, we wouldn't be in this situation.
If Charlie can work with minds, perhaps she can help you.
I've refused to allow her to.
Why?
What happens if they clear my name, Sophie?
No, I mean, for what you're dealing with.
What are you referring to?
I know what's happening. I can tell you think that it's something you can't control and that you think you're giving yourself up so that nothing bad will happen again.
Just one more thing. And it won't be all bad. But if my name is cleared, then that puts you back on their number one suspicion.
Is that so terrible? We could have more time to find out what actually happened.
Or they'll execute me for tampering with the scene anyway, tampering with an investigation. I didn't know those gentlemen were hunters.
Sophie will turn to Maggie. Does perjury have execution as a punishment?
It depends on the ruling of the court.
This isn't American politics.
This is at the whims of the Primogen. The sheriff knows in charge.
We might be in a
If he's-
relatively progressive city, but it is Camarilla.
There is also the chance of him coming out of this more or less enslaved to someone as a punishment.
If we had evidence to know who actually did it, we might be able to pass things off as if I'd lost my mind temporarily. But that's even a small opportunity to succeed. And they don't. Care's not the right word, but their interest in accuracy is not always the best.
I think you're correct in that the American justice system would never be as corrupt as this one.
It's much worse. But that's beside the point.
I mean, we fought 2 great wars to prevent that sort of corruption. It's unfortunate that within kindred society it has taken over.
They are relative mirrors of each other, Sophie, but I'm not sure.
Let's not the last conversation we have be political. Point being, this has to happen, given where we currently stand. It's not exactly the best option that I could have hoped for, but I got to do the undead thing for a while before we went in that bunker. That was your entire existence until this last year. You had more of your own life stolen from you than your real life. And I helped build the cell that you lived in. You don't deserve what's happening here. Not to say I necessarily do, but this needs to happen.
You're some of the only family I have left from before.
That doesn't mean I'll be the only family you'll ever have. And I truly hope you find someone who means as much to you as you do to me.
I already did. His name was Duncan.
I'm losing, Sophie. I don't know how much longer. But he's not one to stop hunting. Even if I did walk away from this, I can't guarantee I'll be the one walking away.
I'm sorry that I led us to this.
You did not. You did not. I am the one who made that decision. I am the one who fed from him. It was my choice. And I wouldn't change a thing. But it did lead us to this path, and it did put us where we are now. And this is how I have to atone. So, Sophie, I beg you, let me atone. And then find something to live for.
You know, that night, it wasn't going to be the end for all of us. I was just poisoning the reactor, so just the rabbits would have died, but, well, and perhaps me from his anger, but he would have had to open up and you would have gotten to leave.
I got to leave anyway, and I got to leave with you. And as horrible as it was down there, I wouldn't have made it through that without you.
I hate to bring up something else unfortunate, but unfortunately, Maggie did break your very nice knife. It was cursed with some spirit, I think.
Good. I've been meaning to get rid of that for some time. I just haven't been able to.
It's hard to let go.
When I come home, that was the knife I used to make sure he couldn't hurt anyone else. Sophie, do you remember the last thing you said to me?
You mean before you confessed to a murder that you didn't do?
Fools rush in where angels fear to tread.
Yes, it's a song.
Mm-hmm. Dear Sophie. Both of you. Soft-hearted fools.
Maggie, we should take our leave.
You don't wish to continue reminiscing?
I think I've said goodbye to Duncan.
He watches you quietly.
Maggie will start to escort Sophie out, making sure Sophie is ahead of herself. There's a brief glance back toward Duncan. Rest well.
Of course. Door opens, and you're allowed outside the cell. You're brought back into the main room. You see most people have already been beginning the process of moving upstairs. Kyle, coming down, sees you, comes to meet you. He sees you and he kind of reaches into his jacket and offers you a handkerchief. I don't suppose is everything okay? I don't suppose I would tell.
Oh no, everything is fine.
You were correct. He was behaving very strangely. Maybe a way of coping with what may become.
Very well. Did he give you anything that might help clear his name?
No.
Oh,
Even if he believes he has much to atone for, he is using this as a way of doing so.
Very well. If you'll just follow the crowd upstairs, we'll be bringing him up shortly.
Of course.
thank you, Carl.
Of course, if you need anything else, let me know. You follow the crowd upstairs. They take you to this large space, the dais in the center. You see multiple people kind of seated up there in the court. A bunch of people kind of off in the back around, kind of playing audience. There is a space kind of off next to them, like a platform, if need be. You find a spot. Do you stay close to the front of the crowd, or do you hang to the back?
I think Sophie would try to stay as close to the front as possible, making sure that, of course, the people of a higher position of authority were where they want to be, but she does want a good view for what's to come.
Maggie will be right next to Sophie.
As you get into your positions and observe, you see that the members of court are kind of speaking amongst each other. People in the audience are speaking amongst each other. You hear things like, I wonder if we're going to actually get to see the killer. I wonder I wonder how they'll do him in. This court's rather creative. As kind of go back and forth. Finally, Gabriel stands. Please, everyone, come to silence. We are going to attempt to make this brief. Considering the evidence that we have, during the night of the hurricane, we encountered a couple of hunters and an assassination attempt, and several vessels and ghouls were launched into frenzy. Amidst investigation, the accused comes forth with a confession. Though they have association with the hunters that were at the location, as well as a vivid plan in regard to killing the Keeper of Elysium as part of a smaller part in a much greater role to destabilize the camarilla of St. Petersburg. This confession aligns with the evidence we have found. If any here can present any evidence to the contrary or to solidify these charges, Please speak now, or wait in silence. He pauses.
Maggie will clear her throat.
Sophie will raise her hand.
MissyMew. Or Clews.
I have eyewitness viewing of what happened that night to Edwin. Some of the details may be important for this trial, especially if there is any danger to the city from spiritual possession.
Yes, he kind of reaches down next to him and he pulls out the file, kind of flips through it. Before the confession, you and your companions were suspected of the murder of Edwin, which your stories were that of a, close the folder, more ethereal sort. You wish to continue the claim that this is what killed Edwin, and not Duncan, who has confessed.
I wish to bring forth evidence to make sure that the court is aware of potential dangers, especially of possession of kindred, to make them do acts that otherwise would be unfeasible. And if there is potential future possessions, the court needs to be aware so they may handle it.
What evidence do you wish to provide the court in this moment?
I would like to recount the events of the night in the Dali, the night of the hurricane, where I saw Edwin's death with the help of Charlie's craft.
So you wish to subject yourself to an analyzation of the Oracle?
Yes, I think it would be appropriate, even with Duncan's confession, having details of potential possession could be useful in the future.
He kind of looks down at the document and then kind of looks back, where you can see Charlie, who kind of pops her head up and then smiles and kind of nods. And he looks back down and then over to you. Acceptable. You may step forward.
Sophie will step forward in her blue blazer with long blue skirt.
Oracle. Okay. She gets up and she makes her way down toward you. Well, hello, Sophie.
Hello, it's nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you too. Are you okay?
Yes, I am perfectly ready for this. As I said, I believe the details of potential spiritual issues are important for the Camarilla to take notice for future dangers.
Makes sense to me. Well, here's how this is gonna go. We're just gonna sit here for a moment. I'm gonna fill it around up there for a little bit. It shouldn't be too bad. Kind of see what you got going on, and we'll just move on with our day. Sound good?
I do have to warn you. I saw something through Maggie that was exceptionally terrifying, and it felt like it ripped a piece of my soul. So if you fiddle in my head, you might get a glimpse of that, so I should just warn you of that.
Well, that sounds fun. Okay. Yeah. I'll see if I can find something in there for you. Is this all on the same night? That's a very productive evening.
Oh no, Maggie came back to check on the wards, to look through for, what may have, happened after that night, and we went to the roof, obviously, because that's where a large, section crashed down, and so there was concern over disruption of the protection, and that is when, Maggie saw the horrific sight, and unfortunately I also saw it through her eyes.
So 2 different nights.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll see what we can find. You sure you want to do this?
Yes, as long as you don't go into pieces of my past, I shouldn't be particularly angered or lash out.
I think we can kind of keep it to the 2 spaces that you mentioned. Should be just fine. Okay. Well, let's go. And she kind of gets with you on that little platform, and she just kind of sits right in front of you, just kind of locks eyes with you, and stares at you for a moment. And you kind of feel kind of like the sensation of clearly something foreign, not supposed to be there, but it's almost like somebody grabbing your arm and then slowly kind of worming the way up the arm, but you were feeling that kind of in your head, almost like someone's massaging your temple, but much deeper. You can feel things kind of getting picked. Do you attempt to obscure anything about these details?
No, based on what she spoke to Gabriel in terms of the importance of the fact that it's their spirit concerns, Sophie has kind of started to accept what Duncan wishes to do. So she's not going to attempt to obscure anything. She's mostly going to... She emphasized with her words that there is still a threat of spirits in St. Petersburg that the court should take seriously.
Give me a wits and awareness.
Can I blood surge this?
Yes.
Okay.
Just Sophie.
Still just one success.
You feel almost the moment like you are witnessing these almost as if it's being brought to your mind like a projector. You watch the horrific incident with Edwin again. You notice something a little weird though. Nothing very specific jumps out at you, but there's something in this moment, particularly around the neck and face. Something flashed, kind of flickered funny. And then he dies. You can feel she kind of lingers there for a moment. And then almost like reaching deeper, trying to find something. Almost kind of like, is this the right one? Like pulling a card out or a file and pulling it. You see the image, the horrific shape in the sky. After a few moments, she pulls back. And you finally feel like somebody's not gently squeezing on your brain. See? Not that bad?
No. Not at all.
You did great.
Thank you. Charlie, do you mind if I now go back into the audience and just lean on Maggie a bit, perhaps?
Okay, yeah. She gets up and she walks over and kind of leans in toward Gabriel. You see them kind of go back and forth for a moment. Understood. He gets back up and approaches. In light of the information presented by Ms. Clews, we can confirm there is clearly some kind of event from beyond. We will continue to investigate this and see if it has any further dealings with that of Elysium. However, there is no evidence about what is happening that alleviates what we are here about this evening, or the concerns and charges against Duncan. So, thank you, Ms. Clews, for bringing that to our attention. And if sometime in the near future we would like to speak with you and Miss Haywood about what it is that you witnessed.
Gladly.
Is there any other final statements or remarks that anybody wishes to make at this time? He nods. Go ahead and bring out the accused. You see the security come out. They have Duncan bound from behind. They bring him out into the little platform there. Cahill standing to his right, but behind him. The other two step out and away. Duncan of Clan Malkavian. You hereby stand accused of murdering the Keeper of Elysium within the Elysium grounds. Also stand accused of conspiring against Camarilla and the kindred of St. Petersburg. How do you plead? He sits there for a moment, closes his eyes. Guilty on all counts. You all are a bunch of monsters, and I very much would have loved to have seen you burn in hell. Gabriel sits there for a moment. Amusing. Very well. Considering the evidence, he turns and looks toward the members of court. Each one by one, nodding their head. It finally gets to Charlie, and she kind of looks over at Mew. Kind of gives a very sympathetic, empathetic glance. And then turns back toward and nods. For crimes against Camarilla and crimes against St. Petersburg. We condemn you to death. Have you any last words? He lowers himself kind of to his knees. You see Cahill draws a long blade that seems to be silvered. He looks down for a moment and then he looks up at Sophie. You can see the red starting to build at the corner of his eye. I have to finish this. And then he looks down. It's the only way to truly be safe. Gabriel looks at Cahill, and he nods. Cahill raises the blade. And then in one clean swing, there's a pile of ash where Duncan once kneeled.
Maggie is going to take Sophie's hand and dig her nails in.
Thank you, Maggie.
Don't thank me yet.
Gabriel sits quietly for a moment. Now that that has been resolved, the Prince will be addressing the problems at hand soon. As likely, will he be naming a new keeper? I thank you all for attending this evening and being witness to the events as they unfold. This court is adjourned. You'll be supplied food. Enjoy the rest of your evening, if you can. He turns and he leaves. The court stands up and they leave. one by one, people start pouring out. Do you leave with the crowd, or do you linger for a bit?
Are the ashes still there?
You see Cahill standing by them,
Okay.
but he's almost standing over them, making sure nobody interferes with them. As people are leaving, they are still there at the moment.
Maggie will kind of take Sophie over to where Cahill is and where the ashes are. She will reach into her bag and pull out a necklace that looked very similar to the one that she gave Matthew. It's got a little vial on it. She looked at Cahill. I'm not asking for all of them, but for a memory.
Sure, go ahead.
She will kneel. She will gently scoop some of the ashes into the little keepsake urn. She'll slide under the chain. And she will stand back up. Thank you, Kyle.
He looks forward. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Maggie will hand the necklace with a little vial of an urn on it. Here you go.
Thank you. And Sophie will clasp it around her neck and tuck it under her blouse.
Would you like to come back with me, Sophie?
Yes. What will happen to the rest of them?
They would be disposed of proper, but if you perhaps would like, I can maybe find an urn.
Maybe if I could be there when you dispose of them.
Alright. Sure.
Thank you.
Maggie will lean over to Kyle. Be careful of further executions. They also add into this phenomena.
I understand. Unfortunately, that can't be helped
Some
too
things
much
can't be
sometimes.
avoided.
He nods. I will get things prepared, and then I'll come find you. If you need to take a moment. He does kind of sit there for a moment. We do seem to have someone lingering. Do you want me to get rid of them, or do you want a different exit?
Who?
He gestures behind you. As you turn to look, you see Ezekiel with his hat down, with it kind of locked his hand on his wrist, the other hand holding the hat held down, and kind of lowered his head.
Not today.
Different exit, Sophie.
Yes, please.
He kind of gestures over toward another member of security. He'll take you out back. I'll meet you soon.
Thank you. Maggie will kind of loop her arm through Sophie's, still, and hold her hand again, give it another squeeze, not digging her nails in this time. With her other hand, she'll kind of squeeze her arm. I've got.
You make your way. They take you out to like the back of the loading space where everybody has mostly cleared out. Kind of give you a little spot off to the corner where they kind of give you space, but are preventing anybody from approaching. You do have some privacy here if you want to address anything in the moment. Otherwise, I'll move on.
Sophie will pull a piece of paper from her purse and write a note on it and hand it to Maggie.
Maggie will read it.
It says, "I'm not sure he's dead."
Maggie will shrug. Death is an entirely new story.
Oh, Maggie, I know what you're trying to. I mean, I don't mean about Duncan. I don't know who else could be listening right now. But we should.
Well then, this
need
is
to
about
talk.
Duncan then. There's another squeeze to her arm.
Yes. Sorry, sorry. Been a very long night.
I can imagine.
When
Do we want to go back to your place or mine, or do we want to go to Coterie Haven?
perhaps books and bourbon might be best. We still maybe have some security issues at the Ascent.
Of course.
But yes, we should discuss this.
Of course.
After a moment, Kyle steps out. He is holding a kind of blackened box. He kind of nods over the two of you and gestures over toward a vehicle. He goes over and he opens the trunk. He sets the box down gently and closes it. Moves around to the side and opens the door for you.
Sophie will enter gladly.
Maggie will get in after her.
He gets in the driving seat and begins leaving the grounds. He drives south a bit and pulls up at one of the docks nearby. He sits there for a moment. Typically, when things like this would happen, Eden would have me bring them out here and introduce them to the water. If you'd like, I can do it, or if you wish to.
I'll help.
Sure. He goes back and he grabs the box. And he takes you over to a small little open beach nearby. He opens the box and you see the ashes.
Sophie will take a slight scoop of it and say, "I'm safe now," and then scatter it onto the waves.
He kind of kneels down in the tide a bit and just kind of gently begins pouring it outward, letting the water and tide wash up and carry it out.
Maggie's going to activate Oblivion Sight.
There's nothing.
She'll look to the sky.
Just that presence never really quite leaves.
She'll deactivate it.
Kyle closes the box, puts it under his arm, stands up. Do you need a ride somewhere?
Yes, do you know of the location of Books and Bourbon?
I apprehended Nicholas there.
Right. Yes, if you don't mind dropping us off there. Thank you so much.
Sure. He takes the box, puts it back in the truck, lets you back into the car. Is there anything you wish to happen in the car between getting to point A or point B, or I can just have him drop you off? Okay. He drops you off as you get out of the car. I didn't get to know Duncan very well, but he seemed like a good lad. I'm not gonna lie and say it gets better, but it becomes more tolerable. Well, as before, if y'all need anything, you know where I'm at. He climbs back in the car, pulls the clothes, and drives off.
Sophie will unlock the door to Books and Bourbon as it's already quite late in the night and let Maggie in and close the door behind her. Maggie, I don't know exactly how to express this. It is going to sound kind of
Can you show me your
wild.
favorite books?
In a
The ones
moment.
that you keep upstairs.
Oh, yes. Of course, my private collection. And
Yes.
Sophie will lead Maggie up to her apartment. Yes, is this better?
Yes, much. Maggie will let the door close behind her and kind of idly look around. Then back over to Sophie.
Perhaps I'd better make sure. Sophie will activate Sense the Unseen.
Give me what's an awareness.
Or is it Resolve in Aspects?
If they're, yeah, go and give me resolve and aspects as well.
I'm rolling really hot tonight. Wits and Awareness has 4 successes. Sentient Scene Resolve and Aspects only has 2.
Everything looks like it's how you left it. And you don't find anything obfuscated.
Right. Well, this might seem really wild, but when Charlie was inside my head, when I was seeing the event again, there was something strange with Edwin's face when it happened. It's not really feasible that someone might die to pretend that he were to die. I don't really think he had the abilities to command someone to do that, unless he had someone command that for him. But I also don't know if perhaps someone manipulated my vision of what happened or memory. There was just something weird about his neck and face. I don't. It's difficult because it all happened so fast. When Charlie was in there, it just seemed like it was a second. But I don't know if Edwin.
You think he faked his death?
Well, again, like I mentioned, it's kind of wild because I can't see anyone volunteering to die for him. But I had to say something because it's just so odd. I had to bring it up because that's...
Did you see any ashes?
I think the body was kind of... Devlin, could you remind me? I think there were ashes.
So, yeah, when arms, legs snapped, and then he got yanked back to the bookshelf, broken body, and then it's almost as if he started getting yanked underneath the bookshelf, and that is what ultimately led to the moment where he dies, which is where you see like the bones and a bit of ash, a body in a greatly decomposed state.
Yes, it was, well, it was all pretty chaotic, and it being flattened by the structure may have kind of altered how it was, but I think there were ashes. Why?
Well, from what I understand of Mr. Kane, he was decently old. He should have only left ashes.
You would think, too, if he was being attacked like that, he has the ability to become a shadow, correct? So if something was attempting to pull him under a bookshelf, he could have become a shadow and be able to withstand being pulled under a bookshelf.
That takes a little mental preparation. If it was sudden, he may not have had the forthright ability to call forth such a power. But
I apologize. I didn't know that stress could affect the performance of that skill.
surprise. More like. However, if he faked his death, he did it quite skillfully.
Well, he was quite worried about the contacts that were involved with him. Perhaps after our job with carting that other kindred to him, perhaps that kindred told him something that made him concerned enough he felt he needed to flee the area. It's a rather horrible thing to do in terms of how it played out with our coterie, and I feel that Edwin
Perhaps.
would have known that.
Perhaps he is simply a coward.
Yes, but he really put us in quite a bad position. I mean, I've been a coward before, but I haven't screwed over the rest of the group as much as, you know, possibly not trying to.
Sophie. Mr. Kane was not part of our coterie. Mr. Kane had no real obligation to us. He was, for all sakes and purposes, someone who kept accounting of our coterie and our actions.
Yes, but still, it's really frustrating to potentially think that someone really screwed everyone over that horribly, where poor Duncan is.
It may be likely that he was driven to such things. He may not have had a choice. And I'll be frank with Duncan. If he didn't find this way to end, he would have found another way, Soph. At least this way, he was able to make sure that you were safe.
I think I've come to understand more his decisions. But, excuse the language, but Edwin's decisions and actions have really pissed me off.
He's a Tremere. It's what they do.
Well, from now on in my book, the Hekata are a much higher place than the Tremere.
You're very kind. But, now that we have spoken about I think it's time for us to unwind a little. Maggie will kind of gesture over to the bookshelves. Now, was serious. I do want to know which one's your favorite.
Well, I always call it Lovers Never Lost, but it's actually in French, so I think I mispronounced it. And honestly, I haven't been really read it all that much. Mostly it was Duncan reading it to me. Christophe was French. I don't have a very good feeling toward the French. They are kind of like the Tremere.
I don't think many people like the French. I don't think the French even like the French very much.
But yes, it's something like lovers are never losers. Yes, we should also at some point let Drake and Matthew know how things went and the potential dangers of maybe Edwin's contacts.
Yes, we should.
And to see how they've fared. I know they had spoken of potentially going to see Victor's art, even though I heavily insinuated that that would be a horrific idea. Yeah.
Which means that they would be first in line for it. Maggie will pull out her phone and check to see if she got any messages from them.
As you reach down, pull out your phone to see if there has been a message. Suddenly, you hear sirens. You see the red and blue flashing lights go by the shop, traveling northwest, toward Clearwater. You have not received a text.
She will look in that. Yeah, gallery was in Clearwater.
Perhaps there's just been another large fire at the gallery. One can hope.
Maggie will just send off a text to Drake, and Matthew just says, "Sound off?" ?
It's quiet. After a couple moments, coming in hot, Victor in tow. Where we meet.
Sorry, what was the last part?
Where do we meet?
I have another morgue. She will send an address.
And with that, we end tonight's session. Will we come back next time? The coterie comes back together and we decide where to move forward from here. Thank you everybody for tagging along, and we will see you on the next chapter.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Bloody Strings is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. The storyteller for Bloody Strings is Devlin. Tonight's characters were voiced by Kyrie, Noree, Lekar, Truck, MissyMew, and Kendall. Visit our website at stpbynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become a part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.